dance. Hello, Mr. Connor. How are you, man? Nice to
What's
have
good?
you here.
How are you getting on? I'm doing all right. Bit slow
Very
today, but I'm getting
slow.
by.
Yeah. Sunday, lazy. The weather was good before, and now it starts raining again.
Yeah, it was beautiful yesterday for a good while. It did start raining in the evening, but yeah, no, it's been like that for the last week. Just one hot day, one rainy day. But sure, look, this is Ireland. What more do you expect at this point? Especially in Galway, it's just how it is, unfortunately.
Nice. Yeah. I was there in city center just for a walk, and then was like, nice weather. And then after 30 minutes, the sky got gray, raining. Just
Yeah,
normal for
it was lashing
always.
out here not so long ago.
Nice, man. So welcome here to Manada Podcast. Happy to you get few hours here to in your Sunday. I know Sunday is not it's a lazy day, especially when we go out on Saturdays.
True.
Uh, and yeah, cool, man. So introduce yourself. Who is DJ Green? What do you do? Uh,
Well, of course, my real name is Connor McMurrow, but a lot of people would know me as DJ Green. I guess if I go back to the very beginning, I started out in about 2012, I think. About 2012. One of my mates was making remixes on his computer. Just say getting random beat instrumentals and putting vocals over them from other songs. So say getting the song like vocals from a Tupac song and putting it over an Eminem beat or something like that. And I started doing that too. And then got into it quite deeply, I guess, and really got interested. I was always interested in how beats were made and stuff like that in the first place, because it was kind of it's not kind of something that's like, you see a band on stage and you know exactly how it works, but when it came to a rap song, I was like, how do they actually do that? Like, how is the beat put together and stuff? And
right.
then when it came toward the end of school, I didn't want to do anything else really. I had no interest in college or anything like that. I wasn't exactly the most dedicated student in school either. But my father said I had to do something, so I did music technology in GTI for the crack, and I ended up really, really liking it. And that's where I came up with the name DJ Green, from smoking lots of weed, naturally, as a young man usually does. And from there, then I did another year in GTI, and then I kind of dabbled in film as well in the second year, but I knew kind of
Right.
while I liked film, I definitely preferred the music side of things. So I did the music technology course in LIT in Limerick for 4 years. Got my degree out of that. That was between 2016 and 2020 or 2020. Yeah, and then like say in between that, all the music stuff, I started. The first release I ever had was an album I made with an Australian rapper called Animal from I think it was Brisbane. He's from. I can't remember now. It's been a few years since we spoke.
Right.
Well, yeah, I was just kind of looking to produce music, and he texted me on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, said he'd been listening to my beats on YouTube and was asking could he use one. I said no problem, and then from there I made a project with him. That's still out there. And then from there, I made another one then where I just produce for loads of rappers from Ireland, the UK, America, and Australia and stuff like that. Some big, some small, some guys who've gotten pretty big to this day.
Right.
And that's kind of what got my name out there, I'd say, as a producer. And then from there, I
Right.
just kind of kept doing that. I've made some electronic stuff here and there on the side, kind of like Aphex Twin kind of style stuff.
Right.
I also rap myself under an alias, a secret alias. It's not so secret anymore, but I never tell anyone who it is. So
Right.
I'm not going to
Now
tell you the
everyone
name.
will know.
I'm not going to tell anyone the name, but most people would know. And if you ask me, "Oh, are you this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." But I kind of
Right.
I like secrecy to it, I guess.
All right.
But other than that, really, obviously, you know yourself, we've done gigs together. I've been running gigs for a couple of years now. The best one I ever ran was I'm looking at the poster in front of me here, was Breaking Down Borders 2, just before COVID hit, which we had so many big acts on board for that. I got some guys over from the UK and everything, and that was fucking crazy. Like we had Pharmacia absolutely full to the brim
Yeah.
that night, and then COVID hit, and it was really annoying because I was just like, oh, these gigs are going to get better and better. Um, but also I was working with other people on the gigs, and let's just say they weren't pulling their weight, and that's a very polite way of saying it. So it left a bad taste in my mouth from running it. One sec, my battery is going low here for some reason.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time there.
You know, it's plugged in, but yeah, it left a bit of a better taste in my mouth. So when it came to, I joined up with Bad Arts Entertainment, then the label that I'm on, in 2020 as well, and then I ended up taking it over then because the founding members just didn't have time to basically manage a label or whatever. They had their own lives and stuff like that, which was fair enough. Whereas I was fully dedicated and stuff like that, so I took that over, and then I knew once COVID ended that, like, you know, someone would have to run the events, and I knew that I was the only guy who was able to be able to do it. I didn't want to be relying on other people, so I started putting on our own events just for the lads, and then from there, I just kind of noticed there was definitely a business side to it too. Like I knew I could run events, especially
Yeah.
because all the lads on my label aren't in Galway, so we can't
Oh,
just get up and do a gig every fucking week, like, which is totally
yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like left in limbo a lot of the times, like I've got nothing to do, like in between times. So I just started running my own events then. Most of them have been great successes, a few bad ones here and there, but like 75% of them have been very
Yeah.
good. Between the 55 and the Oris, Cuba, the Cellar,
Yeah.
and a couple of other places. And yeah, it's a lot of work. And dealing with artists all the time is really annoying. just
Totally.
especially
Yeah.
as an artist. I would say that a lot of people need to pull up their socks in terms of how they deal with things, because
Yeah.
when there's an event going on and there's loads of other people involved, it can be very frustrating when someone kind of drops out last minute when they knew they couldn't make the gig, or they're not answering your messages when it comes to, you know, even something as simple as like, can you send me a promo image, or can you share the poster for the event you're performing at, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because people, especially, you know, they want to get paid and they want to be looked after and they want to be asked back to do
Totally.
gigs. But it's kind of like, if you make no effort on your part, you know, especially for the, you know, the events where I'm just running it, it's like no one's coming there to see me. Do you know what I mean? They're coming there to see the acts, and I'll do my
Yeah.
damnedest to promote the gig as best as possible. But
To-
there
Totally.
is
Challenge.
there is quite a lot of frustration involved, but I'm
Yeah, I
happy to
can
do it
say.
anyway. I've definitely helped a lot of people out, and I've gotten
Yeah.
plenty of thanks and free points out of it, and this, that, and the other. So I do appreciate that. And most people do
Yeah.
appreciate it, but it can be very frustrating.
Yeah.
And I'm mainly doing it just to pay the bills, because it's
Yeah.
something music related. So I
Yeah.
don't mind doing it, but in the end, it is basically work for me.
Totally.
Um, so
And do you that
what
that's you do that business side? Do you like doing the business side, or would you prefer to just do music?
I'd honestly love to just be doing music. Do you know what I mean? It'd be great, but
Nice.
unfortunately, it's not easy to do that. Like, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I sell beats, I do mixing and mastering for people, I do artwork, I edit videos, I sell my own music, my own CDs, my own merch and stuff like that. But there's a lot of investment there you have to make too
Oh
to
yeah.
make money back, and there's only
Yeah.
so much money you can make from it in the first place unless you're hugely
Yeah.
popular. Do you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I do like looking after the business side of things, especially when it comes to being part of an organization. I think money just messes with people and it makes people do silly things. And I personally don't trust people with the money when it comes to an event and stuff like that. I like to look after it. I like to be able to do that part myself because I can trust myself.
Yeah.
Whereas, you
That's
know,
me.
if money goes missing, or it's not counted out properly, or it's miscalculated, you know, it's, you know, you basically have to chase someone else for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd rather not give anyone else the responsibility, so I look after it, and I know I can trust myself, and it's up to other people to trust me if they want to as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I do like the business side of things. Like, I definitely have a knack for it.
Right.
If I actually liked anything else besides music, I might, you know, be able to do business somewhere else very successfully. But unfortunately, I've chosen underground hip hop and running gigs in small venues. So not that much money or kind of involved with that aspect of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, you could say I like the business side of things, but I definitely don't want. I definitely don't want to end up wearing a suit. You know what I mean? I don't want to be. I
All
do a
right.
lot of the other jobs because I
Yeah.
want to be able to maintain being an artist and doing what I want to do as an artist, as opposed to maybe having to mutate my music or my creativity to kind of,
Yeah.
make basically go pop to make more money sort of thing. I won't do that. I want to make
Right.
my stuff exactly how I like it. So that
Yeah.
aspect of it kind of merges together, I guess.
Yeah. How is the? Do you have any preference of working with some specific segments, some category of music? Like, oh, I like promoting punk rock gigs or electronic, or
Um,
it's all the same for you?
well, with bands are the easiest to sell, because if people are just walking past a pub and they're like, "What's going on in there?" The most universal thing they'll like is bands. If it's
Mm,
hip hop or it's techno or it's drum and bass or something like that, it's 50-50 chance, if even, someone's going to potentially just go, "Oh, I don't even like rap, so I'm going to walk in and see it." No, like most people, especially the older generations, they're less likely
right.
to appreciate a hip hop
Right.
act or a techno act. So it's kind of like, if you want to kind of guarantee a crowd, for the most part, bands are usually the way to go. I would like to do more diverse gigs and stuff like that, but I feel like outside of what I was doing, there's a lot more competition when it comes to DJ events and stuff like that. I just don't see the point in doing it, because there's people out there who are electronic DJs and stuff like that running electronic DJ events. They know
Yeah.
the ins and outs of it, so there's no point in competing with that. Um, I'd love to do more hip hop events, but just, people complain about there not being enough hip hop events. Well, if you fucking go to them, then I could keep putting them on, but just we don't get the crowds a lot of the time, and it's
Yeah.
really disheartening. Like, um, there isn't a whole lot of other hip hop stuff going on. At least the kind of stuff that the old school kind of stuff, like. But that's a complaint I've often heard, like, "Oh, we need more hip hop gigs." Yet I never see any of the heads you'd expect to be there at any of them. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So there's not enough appreciation for it, unfortunately, in Galway. So I kind of keep them few and far between, because I often have to get people to travel and stuff like that, and I don't want to have them traveling to an empty crowd. And
Yeah.
again,
Yeah. Oh,
because hip hop is harder just to sell to a stranger, if they're
yeah.
just walking past a pub. So
Yeah.
I try to make it be a big event with a lot of planning and a lot of promotion, and a lot of
Yeah.
backing and stuff like that. So it will usually go well, and most of them have gone pretty well. The last one
Yeah.
I had was at least in Galway, was last July for the Airmal Festival, which we'll be doing this year again. But it rained for all of July, and it rained all day that day, so it was tough to get a crowd in, unfortunately. Whereas the first year was pretty good. Like, I was happy out with it. So I'm hoping this year we can capitalize on that. Um, and I'll have a good few acts coming from around the country to play. That's July 20th for anyone who's interested. It's going to be in Cuba, and
Nice.
tickets will be on sale soon enough.
Cool.
I just have to finalize some things. But yeah, again, just my preference for bands. It's just because it's the easiest to sell, it's the easiest to run, and I've kind of got it figured out now. I know I've got a formula for every event, is how I'm going to
Right.
promote it,
Yeah.
how it's going to run and stuff like that. So that's the main thing. And as well, it's just kind of like, if I had my own choice of what I wanted to listen to as well, I'd pick
Uh,
bands. I'm not really I like electronic music to a point, but I like more kind of alternative stuff, like ambient kind of stuff, and stuff that you're not
right.
necessarily going to hear in a club. I'm not
Right.
crazy about DJs and stuff like that. Just I know for a fact that the only reason I listen to a lot of that stuff is because I was a student or whatever, and getting up to student activities. So I liked a lot of that stuff back then, but now I'm not
Yeah.
into that kind of stuff anymore. So I'm not really madly into that kind of music per se. And then with bands, generally I like a lot of the stuff I'm hearing. And I mean, I'd love to do more metal events, but there isn't a whole lot of metal bands in Galway, and I know that kind of Sally's has their has the grips on that, basically,
Yeah.
like, look after them themselves. They don't do ticketed events either, so it's kind of like, I just feel like there's too much competition there in that regard. Not that I want to compete with them at all, but it's kind of like, there's
Uh,
not enough bands there in the first place. But it's kind of like, they're doing that. There's no point in me trying to like replicate that. It's just what I was doing in the old 55, putting on 3 bands every week, was not being done elsewhere. And I gave a lot of bands their first opportunity to play in Galway,
yeah. Oh
or
yeah.
play live even. So it was kind of like, it wasn't always a guaranteed success. I think, again, 75% of them all went very
Yeah.
well, and there were a few
Good
all right,
number. Yeah.
a couple of bad ones here and there. That's nothing on the acts or anyone. It's just,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you don't get the crowd sometimes. Um,
It's depend
But
on how much you advertise, or it's
um,
because there's no public.
just sometimes, just there could be something else on. We've had ones like just the weather could be bad, or there's some other
All
event
right.
on, or
Yeah.
just, or
Yeah.
in some cases as well. It's I always did my best to have at least one local band on board, and then two maybe from the other counties. But sometimes it's been three bands from other counties that no one knows. So unfortunately, not a lot of people get dragged to the show, which is unfortunate, but it happens. But I think in a lot of cases they knew that themselves. It's kind of like, we're just coming down, we're happy to play, we'll take whatever we can get. And I'm like, that's all good with me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's basically all I can
Yeah.
really say about that.
Talking about your degree in audio music. Yeah.
Yeah, somehow I got one of those things.
Yeah. I
um,
know.
yeah, it's like various subjects in there, like music theory, audio
Right.
electronics, music technology itself, acoustics. Uh, Trying to
Is there a
think now.
specific top? Is there any software that you have to work? Some specific ones for music for creation? What do you use to
Well,
create
in
music
college,
creation?
they made us use Pro Tools because apparently it's industry standard. Well, that's bollocks.
Right. Right.
I've never seen anyone ever use Pro Tools outside of being in college. And it's probably my least favorite of the mainstream ones. FL Studio would be my favorite. It's the
Right.
one I use for making beats and all that stuff, and for making all my music basically for the last decade. I did use a lot of Ableton and excuse me, Ableton and Logic when I was in GTI, and I started off with Audacity, and
Right. I do have.
Audacity is very very old school
Yeah.
and tough to figure out. But I kind of spent so long trying to figure things out with that it made the other ones that are easier to use. But basically, the other ones that are fucking
Yeah.
harder to use, I guess, easier on the eyes and the mind
Yeah.
initially. Like, I mean, there's stuff like I can do now, like on FL Studio, that like I can cook up something in 5 minutes, and it might seem easy, but like there was a time where I'd be sitting in front of the computer and I wouldn't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, FL is my favorite by far. And is it the most user friendly? Probably not. I think Logic would be. Logic was very easy to use, but it's just kind of what I had access to. I got a cracked version of FL Studio off one of the
Yeah.
lads, and then from there just learned it in and out. And now it's kind of like, why change if
Nice.
this is what I'm used to?
There's no band lab.
I've
Have
never
you
used that
seen?
now.
It's online tool for music creation. I use that just to record my own stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but one thing that I wanted to learn is how to add uh, hardcore drums in the music. Do you
Yeah.
do you know how to do that, or
Um,
is it not basic,
I,
or it's not something that you've done before, or it's different from what you do?
yeah, I can't say like my
Some
only kind
books,
of
I don't know.
my only experience really with recording bands and stuff like that was in college, just to kind of as like a test run and stuff like that. Say like they'll put you in a room and say, what's basically the best way to mic this up and record it properly and mix it and stuff like that. I've never actually done it outside of college, so a lot of my knowledge there has probably kind of disappeared a little bit. Um, I my studio space at home is basically perfect for rappers, pretty much, or someone who wants to come and record an acoustic guitar and vocals, which I did for the first time recently. And I just got your man and said, look, I'll do it for free because it's a learning curve for me. And after
Oh yeah,
spending like an hour or two just kind of fucking around with mics and figuring things out, we actually ended up getting a pretty cool demo in. So I was like, yeah, if you want to come back, I could definitely do you something proper.
yeah,
But for me, like, again, I'm a hip hop producer, like, so I'm a whiz when it comes to hip hop tunes and recording and mixing and mastering, and I can help a lot of people kind of figure out what they want to do and stuff like that, and give them guidance. I'm not going to claim that I know a whole lot about the other stuff as well. Like, I have a decent kind of knowledge of music and what's good and what's
yeah,
not, and kind of the ins and outs and stuff like that. But I wouldn't stand there and pretend
yeah,
I'm a genius when it comes to miking up drums or recording
yeah.
things properly when it comes to that stuff.
People come to you with an idea already, and then you improve, or you're up to suggest and do your
Yeah,
stuff.
I
Yeah,
definitely enjoy that aspect to it. Like, yeah, they'll come to me with ideas. Sometimes I'll tell them that's outrageously stupid and it's not going to work. I'm always going to be
right.
very honest, like, because I've had some people in, like, in the kind of, it's the outside influence. It's like, oh, my friend said this or my friend said
Oh
that.
yeah,
It's like, your friend doesn't know a fucking thing about music. So sorry,
yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah,
take their
yeah.
advice for it. But more
Totally.
often than not, it's good. I get good ideas. Like, Most of the time I'm working with Banshee. She's a DJ rapper from Galway. She's on my label now as well. It's primarily her coming out recording these days, and we've done a lot of stuff together. So that's probably the latest stuff that's going to come out that I've recorded with someone, and I've produced a lot of the tracks as well, the beats and the mixing and mastering and stuff like that. But she's very well experienced. I don't
Nice.
mind working with inexperienced people, but it can be very frustrating because you forget that like the most basic stuff they don't know or don't understand. It's like
Yeah.
some people don't know what reverb is. And I do my best to be patient. It's just kind of like, listen, jot everything down. Remember I said it. Please don't come back the next 17 times asking me, can you do this thing that's virtually impossible? Because I
Totally.
will fucking go crazy eventually.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. Like, sounds like dynamic type of work,
Yeah.
you know. And uh so how's the scene, hip hop scene in Ireland? Is something big?
It's
I
gotten
I already
it's gotten
I
huge in the last couple of
right,
years.
right. I are then like Irish artists or from
Yeah.
all around? Okay,
Yeah, like when I started out in 2004, say 2014, as being part of the scene, I guess, I didn't know any rappers personally. I didn't know any producers, and any of the rappers I listened to from Ireland were all kind of, there was like a select few of really big ones like Scary Era, Working Class Records, Trigger was another one, John Sue from Belfast. Other than that, like there was other stuff there, but it wasn't easily found, I guess. And then just over the years, it started to blow up, I guess.
that's cool.
You've got the likes of Versatile now, the likes of Kneecap, Kojak, Jafari, Denise Chyla. They've all gotten massive worldwide, and that was something that was kind of non-existent a couple of years ago. And it's much cooler now. Like when I was 16, if you're going around telling someone you're a rapper, you're probably going to get fucking bullied and slagged by everyone in the fucking country. Like, but now it's much different. Like, it's cool to be a producer or a rapper.
Yeah,
I personally never gave a shit what people said, but I can imagine a lot of people would have been too scared to get involved because of they'd be made fun of and stuff like that.
yeah,
But now, like, there's rappers in every single county. Like, I can name
yeah,
a rapper in every
yeah.
county from Leitrim to fucking down, and yeah, it's blown up a lot. Like, I consider myself on the underground side of things.
Right.
I have a decent following. The label has a decent following, and I'm happy.
Yeah,
If I get 1,000 views in a video, that's fucking class to me. A
it
few
is.
thousand streams on
Yeah,
Spotify, I'm delighted with
yeah,
that. People don't get disheartened by seeing someone who's got 500,000 views and streams. It's like in the end, someone listened to your song 1,000, or people listen to your song 1,000 times. It's still pretty cool by my standards.
oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, the scene has blown
That's
up massively.
success.
And
Right.
sorry,
That's success. I
yeah,
mean,
definitely.
you don't need to be on mainstream to feel like you're success doing
No,
something like.
like I mean, I've had strangers recognize me. Do you know what I mean? Which
Yeah,
is baffling.
totally,
I never
totally.
thought that would be a thing. Like, it's like, oh, you're DJ Green. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, who are you?
yeah,
It's like, oh, yeah, I listen to your music, and I was like, wow. Like, no, it's
yeah,
not happening a whole lot
yeah.
of times. But even just once or twice is still pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
to actually speak to people
Recognizing.
I don't know who've like can give me more knowledge on my music and than people I know and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
it can be difficult. Like, not that I try anymore, but it can be difficult to get your friends, because I have friends 10 years who've never listened to one of my songs ever. Like, they just know that Connor does his rap thing, and that's that. It's like, you might
yeah,
actually like it. But I
yeah,
think that's an Irish thing through and through. Like, I mean, I'll get my props when I hit the big leagues, you know what I mean? And then everyone all of a sudden, oh man, I'm so proud of you and all this. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, but before that, they wouldn't even give you the time of day. But
yeah.
that's the whole Irish thing, begrudgery. It's insane in this country. Like, I can honestly, the majority of people that like go, oh, you're a producer or you're a rapper, show me some of your music. They
Right.
without fail want it to be shit. They want it to be bad. They want to criticize. I've found that because they always go, oh, I thought it was going to be shite, and I was like, no, I think you wanted it to be, didn't you? You like, it's a weird thing like that. I don't get it at all. Like, it's like if someone tells me they're a rapper or a singer or in a
Yeah,
band or something like that, I don't have that attitude at all. It's like, yeah, show me. If it is crap, I won't say it. Like, I'll be nice to them. Like, I won't tell them it's amazing either, or I might give
right.
them some constructive criticism.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've
yeah.
noticed with Irish people, they have this insane, they like to downplay stuff so much as well. Like, it's like, I find that, like, all of my biggest achievements in music, which is like working with some big famous underground rappers. You know, I've worked with Kneecap, I've worked with MF Grimm, I've worked with Project Pat, I've worked with a couple. They're the last things people ever mention to me. But if I do the smallest little thing, like, you know, fill up half the old 55, like, it's like, well done, like, wow, you really made it. Like, it's like, this is just standard stuff. Like, you know, like, why
Oh
don't you
yeah, I
pay,
know what you
you have
mean.
to pay
Yeah,
attention, give me props for the actual stuff. But again, it 100% is an Irish thing, because I've been abroad so many places.
uh,
I've been around so many guys who haven't a note in their head, and yet everyone, all their friends support them like crazy. Their family supports them, this, that, and the other. In
yeah,
my case, I can say that family has shown up to one event I've ever ran, and that's only because my cousin was playing, not because I was running the event. Um, when it comes to friends and stuff like that, like, don't get me wrong, I run a lot of events, so I don't expect my mates to show up to every gig.
right.
But 9 times out of 10, I'm relying on strangers to come to my
Yeah,
events, and people get disheartened by that. It's like, look, they're not obligated to show up, and they're not obligated to give a shit by any means or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of like, you know, you'll go to a stranger's gig, but you won't come to mine. And I just
yeah,
don't.
I do
It's
agree
weird.
with
It's
you.
weird.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
weird. I just
yeah,
can't get my head around it at all. Like,
yeah,
again, having said, like, I have mates who I've
yeah,
known so many years. I'm like, you know, why don't you listen to that song? And it's like, it's weird. It's like, why is it weird? Like, just, you know, you might like it.
yeah.
And it's
It's
like,
like it, yeah,
it's almost like it's you know, it's, is it embarrassing to listen to the
to
music of people
appreciate
you know
your,
personally?
yeah. It happens. It's funny how those things happen because it happens to me. Like most of the time, whatever I create, it's appreciated by other people's, not people close
Oh
to
yeah.
you. Not even
Ireland
family.
Ireland isn't even in my top 10 listeners on Spotify.
Really,
I find that
which one
so funny.
is?
Top 10, like, there's like India, Canada, Germany, the UK, Poland, Ukraine. You know, Ireland's not even in the top 10. Like, and that's just so hilarious to me, honestly. Like, it's like
Yeah,
I have more fans in India, in some cases, countries where they may not even speak fucking English, you
yeah,
know, as their first language.
yeah,
And I think it is specifically because I'm from Ireland. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's not to say that my music is amazing and everyone should be listening to it and it's
No, I
great.
know
I'm
what you mean.
not,
I know. What
but it's just kind of
yeah,
like, it's
it's
very
funny. Yeah,
ironic. Do you
right.
know? It is very ironic to me, and I
Yeah,
do find it funny. But
yeah.
again, it's an Irish thing. So my advice to Irish people is fix up.
No, yeah.
Start
Here we
appreciating
are.
creativity. Just because my face isn't on the front of the
Yeah,
magazine, just because the magazine isn't telling me that my music is good and you should listen to it, because
yeah,
that
yeah,
100% is a thing in
yeah,
Ireland. Like, because
yeah,
most of my mates and, say, acquaintances didn't give a shit about Irish hip hop until, you know, Versatile got big enough or Kneecap
yeah,
got big enough.
yeah.
You know, where it
It's
was
so,
like, oh, like, it's not, you know, everyone else is doing it, so I guess I like it too.
yeah,
And it's like, all right, bye bye,
yeah,
black sheep, like, you know.
yeah, yeah. Like you do your job the best you can, and nobody cares. And then if someone outside say you do a good thing, they start to look at you with different eyes just
Yep.
because they put more credit in someone else.
Yeah, I don't
They,
get that at all. You know,
yeah.
I'm
No,
not
I
gonna,
totally get it. Get it.
I'm not gonna compliment the waiter for what the chef cooked. You know, that's the way I look at it. No offense to waiters. I'm not saying some
Oh, I know
disrespect.
what you
You
mean.
know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I'm not gonna thank the waiter and say well done because he served the food. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll say well done because he served the food, not because he cooked it. You know what I mean? It's weird like
Yeah,
that. I've you know, in some cases, in some cases, like, I found, like, you know, people were nearly in like, I've ran events and I've
uh,
had people kind of, you know, just waltz into my gig, and I'm like, yeah, it's a paid event or whatever, and they're like, oh, sure, I'm with one of the bands, and like, I was like, who are you? Like, I'm the guy running the event, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. I was like, just because you said that, you can get the fuck out now, like, you know. There's this
yeah.
kind of casual, kind of disrespect too, I've found with people, where it's like, you can't be the one who ran this event. I was like, why? Like, because I'm not wearing a bloody suit and tie, like, you know,
Oh
that's not
yeah,
how
yeah,
it's.
yeah,
There's like, you know, and I've found in a lot of cases where it's like everyone else getting props for my work, you know, people who've just shown up pretty much. That can be quite frustrating to deal with at times. And that's what I was dealing with initially when I was running events before COVID. I was doing all the fucking work. And in some cases, my name wasn't even on the poster. you know, and all these other Egypts who are doing nothing but sticking their feet in the dirt and
Totally.
clipping my heels pretty much, almost trying to intentionally mess up events. We're happy to take the props afterward, like, and I just be like, you fucking bastard, like. But sure,
Yeah.
look, now I'm I manage the label and I manage the events. I don't answer to anyone, and it's not just a case of ego.
Yeah, I know
It's
what you
I
mean.
just I find it so difficult to work with other people because they're just, I'm able just to do it. Do you know what I mean? No matter what state I'm in, I could be hungover, depressed, miserable, angry, whatever, but I'll still do it and I'll do it right. I just feel
Yeah.
like most other people, it's kind of like, why would I get someone else on board to do something that I can do myself? Do you
Yeah.
know?
And
And
better
also,
the
and,
way
and
you
then
want.
take half my paycheck as well. Pretty much, like, and that's all I hear when most people ask me, like, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? And all I hear is like, can I take some money out of your pocket? Like, and it's like, no, I can
Right.
just do that myself.
Yeah.
Um, so I do prefer to work alone mostly, and I prefer to have control. And it's kind of like, if I can do it properly, then what's the issue? Do you know what I mean? I tend to do everything correctly when it comes to events.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone makes mistakes and fucks things up sometimes, but
Yeah. Totally.
it's definitely my preference for me. Some people want to work in teams, happy to work in teams, but for me, no, I just work better. And again, it's just because I find it quite. I know where it's going to go. I'm not patient, and I get frustrated when it's like you're
Yeah.
asking someone for something that can take them 5 minutes to put together, and it's been 3 weeks, and I'm still
Yeah.
asking you, and it's
Yeah.
like, just tell me you're not going to do it, and I'll just
Yeah.
stop wasting my time. So
Totally.
I try to avoid situations where it's like, I know if I deal with this person, it's going to be really frustrating. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
sorry. No, I'll be very straight with people. Like, if they ask me, I'm like, look, I don't think our personalities match, and I don't think we'll work together. I'll end up losing my shit with you. Just better to
Right.
be honest like that, because I find people, especially in Ireland, they'll give you excuses. You could, because I've been in the same position myself. Like, I'll ask someone, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And they'll be like, oh yeah, yeah. When secretly they're saying no fucking way. Like, they don't want to.
Yeah.
And I have no issue with
Yeah.
that. Just tell me straight out so I don't waste my time. Because
Oh yeah.
wasting
Yeah.
wasting time for me, I know everyone doesn't like wasting time, but I really, really don't like it. If people waste my
Yeah.
time, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not dealing with you again. Fuck off, pretty much. And that's just how I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. Just be real. Just say what's the story, and to avoid problems in the future. That
Yeah.
happens a lot.
Honesty is few and far, but like, obviously there's brutal honesty, but it's just simple honesty. I find is very difficult with people. Like, they have a great difficulty with it, and they almost don't know how to deal with it when you are just straight to the point. It's like, I'm not being rude, I'm
Yeah.
not being angry, but
Yeah.
this is exactly how I want to do things, and this is how it's going to be done. I'm not going to dilly dally around it. And if you want to do it, do it. If you don't. And they're kind of like,
Do they?
just
Do they? Yeah. Do they think you being the the way you do it? Like, they think you're not being nice, or they understand that?
I think it's most people get it, but there's definitely some people, yeah, who think, I've got a
Take
chip on my
it
shoulder.
personally, right?
But I would disagree with that. Like, in my position, like, I might seem harsh at times and might seem cranky, but like, people don't know how many people I'm dealing with at all times who are all just pulling my leg, pretty much like toddlers, basically, like, help me, help me, help me, do this, do this, do this, do this, do
Yeah.
that, like.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, it doesn't hugely benefit me. Do you know what I mean? So I do my best, like, but there are times where I'm just like straightforward. It's like, cop the fuck onto yourself, like, because you're just wrecking my brain. And so I think, yes, I've mostly, because obviously people will say what they've heard and what has been said, and I've 99 times out of 100 got great reviews for what I
Right.
do in all regards. And in any cases where it is something negative, then I'll be like, okay, he said that. Well, let me tell you what actually happened there. And then, you
Yeah.
know, like, anyone in the music scene that's talked enormous shite about me are very well disliked people in every regard. I won't name names, but they're usually
Yeah.
the worst kinds of people, where it's like, okay, he didn't like that, you know, I didn't pay him 600 quid to do this gig, but like, this is the long list of horrific things this person has done. It's never anyone where I'm like surprised, where it's like, oh wow, like, I thought they were nice. I'm
Yeah.
upset they said that about me. It's always some shithead. So
Yeah.
I'm never bothered about what I hear like that.
How about the bands, or the artists you work with? Are they like rock stars the way they are, like ego? How do you deal with that? Are then
Well,
or in
see,
general they're not like that?
because of my personality, I naturally intimidate people like that. So I don't really have to deal with them. I'm,
All right.
this is not me bigging myself up as some kind of alpha male, but naturally, when you have that kind of, no bullshit
Yeah.
personality, it
Professional way.
scares those kind of personalities away. They know that they're not getting away with that crap with me.
Yeah.
So I can't say I've had to deal with it too much. Um,
Right.
I've mainly just had people where it's like, you're dropping out of too many events, you're showing up late, you're messing about, so I'm just not going to work with you anymore because I couldn't be bothered with it. But I can't
Right.
say I've dealt with too many rock stars. Like, it's just
Right.
it's day to day life for me anyways. I don't
Yeah.
tend to have to deal with those kind of people because they want to be around stupid people. They want to be around people that they can take advantage of and they can
Yeah.
mess with and they can
Yeah.
bullshit. And
Yeah.
it's just not happening with me. I pick up like that on people's
Yeah.
crap straight away. So there's no
Yeah.
getting by with me. So I never really have to deal with it, thankfully.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's a blessing. Some people
You're,
might say it's a curse. It could
yeah.
potentially have, close off doors for me because someone might get the wrong idea of what kind of personality I have and stuff like that. Fair enough, but it means less bullshit because trust me, I'm already dealing with enough bullshit as it is,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
running events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm probably not giving it the best fucking description. Like, I'm not selling running events very well here. Like, it's like I like it and it's fun and I like doing a good event. I like having, a good crowd coming for people and
Yeah.
having people come afterward and say thanks very much for having us. But there's a lot of fucking frustration. It's needless frustration in between just dealing with so many people all the time when it comes to venues, artists, and all that in between. But for the most part, it is
Yeah.
good fun. And to be honest, like 95% of everyone who I've done events with has been great. Um,
Nice. That's cool.
so like I tend to maybe overblow the negative side of things too much, but no, I've had a good fun working with most people, and I do have a blacklist of people I won't work with again,
Yeah.
or they'll have to beg me to work with them again. But
Yeah.
it's not that long. The list of people I will contact for events is
Yeah.
much bigger than the blacklist. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely added a few names to the naughty
Yeah.
list over the
Yeah.
years.
The good thing, the way you are avoiding problem, and people that comes to you, they know how you work, so
Yeah.
they're not gonna bullshit anything.
Yeah, like I mean, I've had some naysayers, just kind of adding like just being negative, I guess, about you know they come into one empty event and they almost try to like you know label the entire mass configuration of things as that, and I'm like, if these get and like even some cases, some artists who weren't happy and they try to overblow it, make it a big thing of it. It's like, look, if these things were so shit, then why do I have people coming back every single week? Why do I have so many acts who have done, up to 10 events with at this point?
Yeah.
Um, so people keep coming back, and I've gotten crowds most of the time, and we've gotten a decent bit of money on the door and stuff like that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's been a success for the most part, and I wouldn't have kept doing it otherwise.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
I guess on a certain level, I felt an air of duty too. Like the fact is, like there's no one else doing what I was doing in that fashion. Do you know what I mean? So I was helping people out, and I know for the most part people have appreciated it. But I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to take a break because I wanted to focus on my own music and just let the head relax a little bit, focus on my own personal life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it can be annoying, dealing with that stuff every single week in,
Yeah.
week out, like,
Yeah.
so I still have some events going on through the summer. I have Skate Fest on June 29th in the 055, which will be myself, three of the guys from Bad Arts, Asphyxia, they're a punk band, and closing out the night is DJ No Complitra. That's going to be hip hop and punk. It's a free event if anyone wants to show up. There's a GoFundMe there as well for the whole entire festival if people want to contribute because it'll help pay for
Nice.
everything. It's not just the gig that's going down. Harry's got a
Yeah.
few different things going on that week.
Yeah.
And then July 13th, I have a band night as part of the Airmal Festival in Cuba with Undercover Martians, Magini, Melon and Housemates, and who is the fourth band? I think it's Citrus Drive, maybe. I might be forgetting who it is because I have so many bands and band nights on. I can get mixed up in my head.
I can
July
imagine.
20th then is the hip hop event in Cuba. There's going to be loads of acts from around the country playing for that, and then July 26th is going to be a band night in the old 55 with the Woo, Voodoo Kitchen, and the Gopniks. And then in August, I'm going over to Glasgow to play in the Glad Cafe on the 11th, I think, and I'm staying over there for a week because
You are
I have,
playing.
yeah, myself and two, yeah, Banshee from Bad Arts and Drew Pack as well from Bad Arts too. All three of us will be playing, as
Nice.
well as Rare Witch from Belfast is coming down to play. He's not part of the label, but because we had space there, he asked could he come along. I said no problem. He came and he played last year at the Aramall Festival in Ors na Gael, which was a great event, but it just rained all
I like
fucking
it
day,
there.
so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
affected it unfortunately. But yeah, I just want to kind of take a break from the weekly stuff for a while, and then maybe go back to it. We'll see. It's just after a while, it was starting to get to be too much. I didn't have any time to myself, and I wanted to focus on my own project. But naturally, I was just in business mode the whole time, and kind of like whenever I did have free time, I just wanted to do nothing because my head was fried. So I just wanted to relax and piss about
Yeah.
and play computer games and stuff like that.
What's your main platform to share your stuff? Like, do you use
Music.
Spotify or YouTube?
Well, Bad Arts has a YouTube channel where we
Right.
post all of our music and music videos. Bad Arts Entertainment on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel then, DJ Green, where I sell my beats and stuff like that. Then we're on everything basically: Instagram, TikTok, Threads, which I never use, but it's just there. Uh,
Yeah.
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X as they call it. But yeah, for listening to music, YouTube primarily. Spotify there, obviously. But if you want us to pay us for our music, by all means, use Bandcamp and buy our shit there instead of
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Spotify. Like Spotify is handy, it's standard and it's what
Yeah.
everyone uses, but it
Yeah.
pays nothing. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten a couple 100,000 streams
Yeah.
on it at this point, and like I've gotten paid like €1,000 over the course
Yeah.
of a couple of years. That's all together, whereas
Yeah.
Bandcamp, you buy one album, it's fiver in the pocket, maybe a tenner, depending on what you sell it for. And
Yeah.
it's greatly appreciated if people
Yeah.
do buy it that way. But check out the YouTube. The YouTube's free, so you can listen to all our music there for free and
I will. I
watch
will share
one of
in
our many
the.
glorious music videos.
Nice. I see. I think you were the one that promoted. There's a Brazilian guy doing hip hop. I think
Lineker.
Lineker. Yeah.
Yeah.
How, who's his audience? Is like Brazilian people
Um,
or in general anybody?
well, down here again, he was kind of mainly playing for the old 55 crowd, which would
Yeah.
mainly Irish people, I guess.
Nice.
I haven't seen him play elsewhere, but the way I got onto him was there's a group up in Dublin called the Irish Latin Exchange.
Yeah. I
Um,
interviewed them here. I
oh
don't know
yeah,
if you.
yeah. They got onto me and said Lineker was looking for gigs. So
All
and
right.
I think the first time they played, he came with them and played as well.
Right.
Uh, those guys have obviously a huge Latin fan base and stuff like that. So I can imagine, yeah, maybe when he's playing other counties and stuff like that, he might be doing specific crowds that maybe Latin crowds and stuff like that. But I'm
Yeah.
not fully sure. I mean, there obviously is a huge Brazilian community in Ireland,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure how big it is elsewhere. Like, because Gort obviously is, full to the brim of
Yeah.
Brazilians. It's like a
Yeah.
little Brazil. I'm not sure how it is elsewhere, but yeah, there's a huge Latin community here anyway. So because the last hip hop gig I did was up in the Grand Social in Dublin as part of Cantito.
Yeah.
Um, and the majority of the people, there was very few Irish people there. It was the majority of the crowd were all Latin people from all different countries and stuff like that. And that's going back to again like the probably one of the biggest crowds that we played to as Bad Arts were all Brazilians. Do you know what I mean? And
That's
they weren't afraid to give us lots of appreciation and support, and that was good fun. And I'd love to do that event again. It was if anyone's ever heard of or not heard of Cantito events, definitely go to them because there was food, there was tattoos, there was like really nice merch and stuff like that. And we got really well treated there. I'd never met most of the I'd never met the organizers and stuff like that. I just chatted them online, and I got in there because I had a friend who got me in to one of the
yeah.
gigs. We got fed, we got drink tokens, we got lots, really well treated. It was a lovely green room, stuff like that, and everyone else that was performing, I got along with very well. So I definitely love to do one of those again. Um, but yeah, no, I'm not fully sure if his fan base is primarily Brazilian as well. He's doing his music online too, so I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot
Yeah.
of Brazilians listening
Yeah.
through that, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
He's definitely doing a good job. And like he's
Oh, he's a
doing
good guy. Yeah,
video clips and the lyrics are good as well. Uh
Yeah, I can't say I understand a lot of them. I don't have any Portuguese.
Oh yeah, can start learning it. Other than punk rock and hip hop, I think Latin music is big in Galway because I have a friend of mine. He's always going to parties and Latin classes,
Yeah,
events. It's happening a lot. I
yeah,
went
there
one
is.
or two times, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Um,
learn.
the well, for that festival I'm doing Christmas, as I mentioned to you, the only date I had left was a Monday. And initially, I was going to do trad on a Monday, but then I was like, why would people go to trad on a Monday when they could go on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Friday? Because trad is being played every single week in Galway. So I said
Yeah,
maybe a Latin night because it's more specific, it's more unique, and it might draw more of a crowd, even though it's a Monday. Because I mean, there's obviously Latin events on, but they're not going to be on all the time. And something new and again a bit more unique might actually draw a crowd and be a bit more of appreciation as opposed to just doing something on a Monday that is done every single week and potentially having
yeah,
an empty event. Like, so I said I'd get on to a few other Brazilians that I know, and said like if we can sort out food and maybe some more kind of cultural things that obviously I have no idea about. I'm not going to be the Irish guy to put on the Latin event, not knowing
all
fuck
right,
all
all right.
about Brazilian culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just said I
Just
guess.
find the right people to help you to understand more the
Oh yeah, I know.
scenario.
Well, everyone I got onto was a creative in some regard, such as yourself and two other girls that I know that I got onto, and yeah, they said they're happy to help out too, and they've put me on to other people as well.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think that'll be like that festival as well. I might as well give it a plug now while I'm here. It's going to be 7 days, 7 days, 7 venues, like 7 different events. So it'll be one hip hop, one drum and bass, one techno, one rock, one metal slash punk, one Latin night, and one comedy. And I think that's it. Maybe I'm forgetting something. And I've got the Blue Note, Crows, Cuba, the Old 55, the Cellar.
few
Um,
venues actually, isn't
there's
it?
two other venues I'm not thinking of now.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you have any preference of those venues that you like the most, or at the end are all?
um, hard to say, really. Like they all have their good sides and their
Yeah,
downsides.
yeah.
I like Oris na Gael was my favorite. I really liked Oris na Gael, and I hope it does reopen again at some point. Um, but that was
I
definitely
like
my favorite, just in every regard, because nice outdoor area. I was friends with basically all of the staff, because they were all around my age as well. Like, I'm friendly with a lot of the staff elsewhere too, but we're all different generations. We wouldn't hang out outside of the pub, do you know what I mean? Whereas I was friends with a lot of the staff in the OR, so we hung out a lot. Um, and the venue was nice, drinks were nice. And it was always good crack there. It was kind of one of the places where like I would just go there by myself, and I'd always meet people I knew, whereas
yeah,
I wouldn't really find that elsewhere. And I don't like a lot of the kind of the mainstream pubs. There's no like you would
right,
never know the bar person's name. You'd never know the
right.
bouncer's name.
All right,
It's too crowded and it's too kind of it's all about the aesthetic. Like that's where
right,
people go to get their Instagram
right,
selfies and smoke their
right,
vapes and stuff like that. It's not for me. I want to go to
right.
a place where I can actually have a conversation,
Yeah,
and I'm not looking over my shoulder the whole time
right,
because the bouncer is fucking following you around, or there's all this
right.
crap. The crowds. I don't understand this whole like, let's go to the pub where you can't move because there's 500 people in here roaring and screaming. Like, just doesn't appeal to me at all. Like, it's like, unless
Yeah,
we're going to a gig, what the hell is the
yeah,
point of this?
yeah,
So I definitely prefer the places like the Oris, Sally Long's,
yeah,
the O55, where I actually know the people that work there, and I'll
yeah.
always know strangers. Well, like, not that I wouldn't know people at the other pubs as well, like Front
Right.
Door or
Yeah.
Taylor's or whatever. But they're usually not the people who I'm like, oh yes, that person. Oh, I'm gonna go in here. I was like, oh fuck this, I'm leaving.
So, would you say it's kind of that's your it's it's your choice to not go to those pubs and go more underground,
Yeah,
or yeah,
because well, like I'm not talking about any pub specifically, but the
yeah.
fancier they are, the cheaper they're going to be. They're going to pay
Oh,
less.
right.
Or
So,
they're gonna have outrageous fees.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of delusion there. Like
yeah,
I know guys, and I won't name names. I know guys who are playing guitar every single week, getting paid a few hundred to play in various venues, and it's literally the most fancy venues with the most money. Who are like, "Oh, do you want to come play?" He's like, "Yeah, okay, this is my fee." And they're like, "Oh, we're hoping you do a trial." It's like, trial for what? Like he's playing every venue in
Oh
Galway
yeah,
every single
yeah,
week. Like, are you
yeah,
crazy? It's like there's the value of music in
yeah,
so many venues is so low, even though it's like what do you need? Music, drink, toilets. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like music is down here. And I can tell you this much, right? That in my case, I'm an independent guy, so I only have so much money. And I think it's fair enough that in my case it's door money divided amongst all the acts. I can't unfortunately afford to be paying people, and they get that because there's a nice exchange there, and people understand that for the most part. It's like if we do good, there's going to be money there. If we don't do good, there's not going to be so much money there.
yeah,
But like I can guarantee you that, like, say a good night in the old 55, I'm paying people more than certain other venues are paying people when the fucking crowd is huge. Much bigger venues, the crowd is filled to the brim, it's entertained, and they're handing out half the money that I'd be paying a full band for a
yeah.
good old 55, and that's the ironic side to it. Um,
Totally.
so it's really, really, really annoying. Sorry, my battery there again. Uh, it's really frustrating. So I just kind of avoid dealing with those places because they'll shaft you left, right, and center. And it's like for
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
I could care less about oh it's the bigger venue and it's better and all that sort of stuff and it'll look better that I'm playing there and more people will come. It's like nah, like I want to be treated fairly. Do you know what I mean? I want to be treated
yeah,
with respect. And I've had to
yeah.
chase again. I won't name names because I
I
don't
know, I
want
know what you mean.
to
Yeah,
upset. But I've had to chase the the biggest venues for 100 quid. In this city, 100 quid, and I'm like, why can't you just give me the 100 quid? Like, what is all this bullshit? Like, oh, we have to do this and we have to do that and yada yada yada. I'm like, who are you bullshitting? Like, it's like
yeah,
I'm not some 14-year-old DJ. Like, I run
exactly.
events.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally.
here's the money, you give it to them, or if you can't hand it to them, you just put it into your bank account and you send it. You got things like Revolut these days, and the shit they pull is
Easy
hilarious.
like
Like,
that. Yeah, a lot
and but
of excuses.
I'm very like I'm like literally one time with one particular venue and one particular promoter, like this was going on for weeks. And I was just I was being polite. I was like, hey man, what's the story? Like, any chance I could get that payment? And it wasn't until I said, listen, you fucking send that money right now, or I'm gonna tell everyone what a fucking scumbag you are. And I'm gonna put it all over the internet. Didn't even respond, 100 quid sent to my Revolut straight away. And then I asked everyone else involved with that gig, did
Uh,
they get paid? And they said no, because they didn't follow up on it. So he pocketed all that money. And that goes on constantly, constantly in this industry, unfortunately. Like,
it's funny,
uh,
like the way it happens. The musician is the main thing of a pub, and the one that has no respect.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
without fail. And it's ironic. It's kind of like, it's always the same guys too that are pulling this stuff. It's like, how do they even like how do people keep coming back to them? It's because people have got no self-respect in that sense. Like, it's like if someone's constantly doing something shitty, like they should be called out for it and not let get away with it. But I guess being in a position of power, it's like, all right, you're pissed off you didn't get paid. Well, there's 100 guys behind you who I can short pay anyways, who will be happy to play for me anyways. And that's literally I'm quoting managers of
yeah,
venues that said that. It's like,
yeah,
well, if you're not happy, there's 100 other guys who'll do it for free, so fuck you. And it's like,
totally.
all right, fair enough. Like, it's
Yeah, no,
unfortunate, but it's just the way it is.
yeah, that's the scenario, and it's not different. I see. I can see how bad it is. I notice and observe, and then I can see from you. But comparing to the way musicians are treated in Brazil,
Yeah,
is work here is a bit better.
really, yeah,
The musician that goes spend like 3 hours playing in a bar, they pay very. You know what happens in Brazil? We do have like a 10% uh, fee for musician optional, right?
yeah,
You can pay 10% or 5 or something like that. It's optional, and people who pays that, it doesn't go to the musician, it goes to the bar.
yeah,
The bar pays something, or like, okay, I pay you like 100, and if a lot of people pays the fee, that money doesn't go to the musician.
yeah.
So that's very unfair as well.
Like, it's I find a lot of businesses. because they do bad business practice on their own end, they try to take it out on artists and people running events, which includes charging outrageous fees. So they've got their hands in your pocket, even though, like, fair enough as an insurance thing, it's like they've got the lights, they have to pay a sound engineer, all this stuff. That's fair enough. From an insurance point of view, if they don't know an event's going to go well, fair enough. I don't mind covering something like that. But
Yeah.
in cases, I've been in one case where a venue tried to introduce fees out of nowhere. Um, I literally been running events in this place for years, and it
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. Basically, oh, now you have to pay us this money, and I knew simply that they were coming down on us, the artists and the performers and the promoters, simply because their business practice behind closed doors was shit, and it was, oh fuck. Well, how do we deal with this? Well, rather than fix up, we're going to take it out on you guys. And
Yeah.
the next, I said, all right, yeah, I'll pay you on the night. Wink, wink. Um, and then the event came down and the place was absolutely wedged. And I was like, there's only so much money we can make on the door, even if it's wedged, because there's a limit to the capacity and all stuff like that. So there's a few £100 there. And I turned around to them. I said, do you want to take half this money now, do you? I was like, lads, I'm going to be straight with you. Like, you've made good money tonight. As I can tell, the place is wedged. There's empty pint glasses everywhere. I said, if you come and ask me for money right now, I'm getting up on stage and I'm going to get the mic and I'm going to tell them exactly what's going on. And they just said, no, never mind.
Yeah.
I was
Totally.
like, yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like £200 out of
Yeah.
for ye is nothing. That's a couple of pints, literally. Like, whereas that's almost half the money we've made in the door. And it's like, I want to be able to pay these bands as much as I possibly can while also covering myself. There's like a weird aspect. A lot of people think like, I should kind of run events too for free, like just for passion, like, which is fair enough to a point, but like a lot of people don't realize that I need to get paid as well. I've had people almost imply, because I said like there was certain events I was doing and there wasn't enough money there to pay performers as well as
Right.
cover myself. And I had people being like, oh, you're so greedy, your only motive is money. It's like, well, like, I'm literally losing money otherwise. Like, am I expected to be this, fella who just sits back and loses money and watches everyone perform and take everything home? No, absolutely not. Like, it's not happening like that at all. Like, it's like,
Totally.
I need to get something out of this too. But yeah, it's a weird thing like that, because again, it's like the amount of people I have walk into events and it's like it's a paid event and they look at you like two heads and they smirk at you like, and they're like, what? And like, yeah, it's a paid event. And it's like, like you've insulted them. And they're like, all right. And it's a funny one that I've noticed that people always do. It's because in the old 55 setup, it's like you can still hear the music if you're in front of me at the door.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always make this thing of like, oh, fine, I'll just stand over here and listen to it. And it's like, this isn't a battle of egos. It's just like, it's paying people to play music, and
Yeah.
you're enjoying
Yeah.
the music,
Yeah.
Irish people, and I find primarily with the older generation are so fucking entitled, where it's kind of like, well, I've been working all week, so like, these are my subjects and you should perform for me. And, I get to sit here and sure, I've already paid for my drink sort of thing. And you guys are playing for me. And they always make this big deal out of it. But, and I call them out very quickly, because another problem with Irish people is they're not
Yeah.
assertive. They avoid
Right.
confrontation. And I'm not saying I want confrontation, but like
Right.
the sheer ignorance and rudeness I've had to deal with sometimes. And then as soon as I'm like, listen, go fuck yourself, get out. And they're like, what? They don't have to deal with it at all. Like, it's like, no, man, you're being a rude bitch. Like, how dare you fucking speak to me like that? I'm managing this event. I'm not being paid to deal with you. And especially in places where they don't have security, it can be frustrating. It's like, I
Yeah.
have to deal with this by myself.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're not buying drinks from me, so I don't have to take shit off you. And
Totally.
I've had that a good few times where like, just the weirdest excuses that people have told me. Like, one person said they don't have to pay because they're from Ukraine. They legitimately said that to me. And I was like, well, the music was really loud and I couldn't hear them. And I was like, I can't hear. They kept showing me an ID card. And I was like, I don't need to see your ID. I need the money. And I was
Yeah.
like, I brought them outside. I was like, what are you trying to tell me? I can't hear you. And they were like, I'm from
Yeah.
Ukraine. I don't have to pay. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? I had another woman say that what I'm doing is breaking the law. Like, I can't, it's against the law to charge into events, and that she's going to
Seriously.
call. Yeah, she knows the law, and her friend's a
Yeah.
guard. She's going to call the guards if I don't
I'm a
fuck up.
lawyer.
And I was just like, what is wrong with you? Like, I've had a
Yeah.
load of really, really weird ones like that. And another one is like, how the hell am I supposed to know that your daughter's playing tonight or your brother's playing. I don't know who you are. Like people who
Oh
walk in
yeah,
and like, oh, it's a paid
yeah.
event. So, oh, my daughter's playing, and they're
It
like,
doesn't matter if it's
I'm like,
the
I've never
daughter.
met you before. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's like, and one thing as well is that like, obviously, if the door does well, I get a cut at the door. But 9 times out of 10, I don't take anything off the door. I just get paid by the bar.
yeah.
But like, as soon as you tell them, like, don't worry, the money's not going to me, then they're happy to pay. There's this like smug look of disgust when they think that I'm the one getting the money, and it's kind of
It's
like,
so stupid.
well, what's
You
wrong with
know.
me being paid as the
Yeah,
organizer in the
yeah,
first place?
yeah,
Like, but
yeah,
there's a few
yeah,
people where they've been like, oh, I'm not paying. It's like, it's going to the performers. Don't worry. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I'll pay you, no problem. But just letting you know, I'm just gonna be casually disrespectful towards you. And it's like, oh,
It's so
I'm pretty
ridiculous.
easy there sometimes, but there's a few times where I've just been like, oh, I'd love to kill you.
Yeah, I know, man. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of efforts to make a gig to promote. There are a lot of things going on, and
Yeah.
how come they come to the gig and start to complain that they need to pay
Yeah,
and
it's
not being
€6
supportive?
€6 to see 3 bands. Stop bitching, like, you know what I mean? I know times are
Yeah,
tough, but not like, I'm not gonna suffer as a result
yeah,
of times being tough. It's either pay or don't pay. If I don't have money, like, because
yeah,
people start going on about how they're broke and they don't have money, and then it's like, what the hell has this got to do with me? And I'm not your psychiatrist. Like, if you're
yeah,
broke, stay at home. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, stop
yeah,
telling me the sob story, you know? Um, like I think most people can agree with this. Like when you've worked behind a bar or at events and been sober around drunk people, you'll realize how much you dislike them. And like I'd like to think I'm not like that when I'm drunk,
yeah,
or have a few drinks in me. But fuck
yeah.
me, you'd really get a air of disgust off them, and this entitlement too as well from mates who just think because they know you, they can walk into the event
Oh
for
yeah,
free, and they'll do it. They'll bring it up every time. It was always the same people. It's just like, oh yeah, I don't have any money, but can I come in? It's like, no, sorry, like,
totally.
I mean, you're not going down to the Roisin Dove and pulling that,
Yeah, man.
like,
It happens all the time. I'm graphic designer as well,
oh yeah, I
and
can well imagine.
I still people asking for a logo for free. They think to create a logo is just open the Illustrator, pick a font, and that's
Yeah.
it. You know, they don't know that the process,
Oh
the
yeah.
searching and everything that involves the logo creation. And then this person came to me today, and she was like, "Oh, hey friend, hey
Friend.
buddy, blah blah blah. Can you redesign this logo because I need that to be more modern and cool. Uh, and you are the artist. I hate that, man. People calls me artist to make. They think I will feel happy that I'm an artist. I'm just graphic
Yeah.
designer,
Oh
and
yeah,
there are
yeah.
a lot of work behind. It's not artistic thing. And then
Not when you're making it for someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's what they don't
it's
get.
your
Like,
job, man. It's their
yeah.
job. How come you asking for someone to do something that you need to get money from?
Like I'll always
Don't
do
make
friends
sense.
discounts for friends anyways, but even then it's like, it adds up. Like if you're mixing and mastering, producing and doing a lot of stuff, the bill's gonna add up, like, and it's like
Yeah,
I need to get paid as well. I do think again it's kind of from the point of view, it's like most people are not working a job they like doing. And I think it's a bit of resentment to be like, sure, you have a great life, like you make beats on a computer. That's where you make some of your money. Like, and I have to get up at 9 in the morning and go to
yeah,
Mac or whatever. It's
yeah,
like, that's your life, man. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, yeah,
um, I didn't fall into this easily. And to make any kind of money off it, it took years. I had to go
yeah,
through college for years. I've had
yeah.
to
Totally.
work so hard. Like, it was years before I made a penny off music. Um, so for people to come and turn around, like, and in some cases, like, if someone is really, really talented, um, and even then, because I've wasted time with really talented artists and then ended up nothing ever happening what we were working on, stuff like that. I will knock down the price a bit where it's like, look, you're really good, but obviously you need to cover my work hours at the very least. But like, it's always the ones that are bloody awful, awful
Yeah,
musicians in some shape or form, or rappers who just think like, oh yeah, produce me a full album there for free. Like, it's like, absolutely not. Like, and then I'll show them my production credits. It's like, this is
yeah,
why I get to charge this much. And the thing is, I don't charge the price I want to charge. Like, even the full price, charging full price is not what I deserve to be paid and what I
yeah,
want to be paid. But unfortunately, I know that
yeah,
I'm not going to get paid that because people just in general don't really value your work
yeah,
that much.
yeah.
especially nowadays, you can rip free beats off YouTube. It's like fire away and do that. So it's like if you
Yeah.
want something quality, then you're gonna have to pay for it, unfortunately, you know. Um, but yeah, no, I'm like I've always noticed that, like, you know, it's like especially with gigs and stuff like that and stuff, it's like if you've supported me enough, yeah, by all means, I'll throw you a free t-shirt, or throw you a few free CDs, or throw you this, that, and the other, you know, whatever, I don't mind. But like it's the people like they'll come to one gig and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And like it's even weird where it's like it's friends of friends. Like I don't even know you, man. And it's like, oh, can you get in for free? He's like, no, I don't know you. Like, why would I let you in
Yeah.
for free? Like, go hang out in the smoking area by yourself. Like,
You never ask people
you
to
know what I mean?
gigs
Like,
like that. Yeah.
it's
You
just so
know.
surreal, like this kind of sense of entitlement that people have, and you really kind of get your eyes on it when you're involved with music or the creative scene, of how
Yeah.
kind of it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you should be happy that I'm even here. You should be happy that I'm even asking you to do this. It's like, no.
Totally.
It's like, why would I waste hours of my time doing that when I can waste hours doing my own things? You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend
Yeah.
12 hours working on something. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, as well, people will often say like, "Oh, I'll give you the royalties or this, that, and the other." Well, it's like, well, I know music business and I've studied
Yeah.
this stuff. Like, so like I know how much money you're likely going to make, and it's going to be
Yeah.
fuck all. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like, that's not happening. Um, and
Dude.
just kind of like the other side of it too is, as a producer, at least in
Yeah.
Ireland, the producer is not appreciated whatsoever. It's very rare the producer gets mentioned. So I could produce the best song ever. 99% of the props is going to go to the performer and who's
Right.
performing it, and the yada yada yada. I might get a thumbs up and, oh, that's a great beat, whatever.
Yeah.
Just because I know from experience. So it's like, yeah, I want to get paid because you're going to get all the props, and I can't rely on anyone who says, "Oh, if I make it, you're coming with me," because I've heard that a dozen times.
Oh yeah.
I have been bullshitted so many
Yeah.
times. I know, and
Yeah.
people kind of get insulted when they say like, "Oh man, like, you know, if we
Yeah.
do this, I'll bring you to France or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah," and people are like, "Man, like, what the hell? He's talking about bringing you to France," and you're like, just basically like brushing them off.
Yeah.
It's like, I've heard that a
Yeah.
dozen times. I've heard
Yeah.
it a dozen times, and I've been pushed aside for some other fucking person without fail. And that's why I'm very, very strict on who I work with and who I deal with, and how I try to tell people, take everything with a pinch of salt, because 9 times out of 10, if someone actually does something genuinely decent for you in the music industry, it's because they got ulterior motives. Unfortunately, you know, and a lot of people, they're easily deluded and swayed by people like that, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
people have got silver tongues and they'll fill your head with shit. So again, I do my best to have a positive outlook and stuff like that, but it's very difficult for me to not be pessimistic because I've been let down so many times. The only person who hasn't let me down relentlessly is me. You know, that's just the best way of describing it, unfortunately. So I do that because I don't want my whole attitude of the music industry and stuff like that to be completely spoiled to the point where I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So that's kind
Yeah.
of why I'm quite strict in who I work with and
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
I deal
You're
with.
right. You're right.
Unfortunately, if you it's kind of like, it's no different from having too many friends. You know, people who've got too many friends, your heart's going to be broken trying to keep them all happy, and for them trying to keep all of them trying to keep you happy too. That's why I've got a small circle of friends, of people I can actually trust, and anyone I know who's got loads of friends, they're the people who are constantly, you know, you've got fake friends pretty much, and they're the ones that they get fucked with the whole time and they get taken advantage of and all that stuff. And I see it all
Totally.
the time. It's like, it's not that I'm necessarily a big grumpy bastard who doesn't want to be
Yeah.
friends with people. It's just, it's a lot of work. Um,
You know what you mean? Yeah.
you know what I mean? So you have to be quite picky and choosy of who you spend your time
Yeah.
with, and it's no different from
Yeah.
the music industry, you
Yeah.
know, or
Yeah.
any industry. It's a very general sort of thing, and a lot of people don't have grips on that
Yeah.
whatsoever. You know, they just want to be friendly with everyone. They want to work with everyone. It's like, that's the one of the worst things I ever did, was kind of work with everyone, you know, because I've wasted so much time. Like, this, all of probably the best music I've worked on is not released and will never be released, because of just whatever, like lack of interest or just some petty bullshit, or because
Right.
he said, she said, and this, that, and the other. It's just, it's silly, like, you know. Um,
Totally.
so that's why I'm quite, like, again, as I said, strict when it comes to that stuff,
Yeah.
because I have to cover my ass,
Oh
because
yeah.
I've
Totally.
been let down too many times, unfortunately. So
Yeah. It's just protecting yourself from those people.
yeah, because some people could be super genuine, and I respect that. But I
Yeah.
tell them, like, you could be 100% genuine, but I have to cover myself, because
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know, people are shitty like that, you know. And I'm not getting any younger. I mean, I'm 27. I'm still a young man, but you know, I'll be 30 in a couple of years. You know, I want to be able to support myself. I want to be able to, you know, live a comfortable life, but I also don't want to have to give up music and everything I'm doing to do so. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. I can't function in a 9 to 5. It's just not for me. I don't have the patience for it. I didn't. People don't value their own lives enough to be like, well, I didn't spend 27 years to end up working in a factory. Like,
Totally.
I have high hopes for my life. I want to live
Yeah.
it as best I can. And like the idea of just working to live in a nine to
Yeah.
five it just wears me down. I'm sorry. I know 99% of people are doing it and fair play to them. But for me, it's like, man, I just, no way,
Yeah.
like not for me. And I've worked hard enough to kind of put myself in the position I'm in
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you know, I actually value and the thing is, I value my money a lot more than the average person because my money is never guaranteed necessarily. Like you see everyone else, they're all broke because they piss all their money away on stupid crap. They're in the pub every night spending 100 quid. Like the thing is, like, you know, I might have more money than the average person. Like I've never spent more than like 30 euro on a night out in my life. The main thing that I spend my money on is taxis, unfortunately, because I live out in Barna. But like,
Right.
but the people I know who've got the most money, they're always broke or claiming they're broke, and it just baffles me. Kind of, you you, you're never gonna get out of the position you're in. And I know times are tough, rent is high, and you got so many fucking costs these days. I get that, but it's like it's the people where like they've got the most money, but they don't really have the most expenses yet. They never have any money, and it's like I'm always curious, like where does it go? Like where is this money being spent? So for me, because of my position, I value my money a lot more. So I don't spend it crazy. Um, I'm quite strict in how I spend my money. Like obviously, you feed yourself and you look after things like that. But like I don't impulse buy and I don't buy rubbish. And any of the say the most expensive things I bought, say for music, like my monitors and my microphone and stuff like that, I still have the same ones that I bought 7 years ago, and they're all still top of the line. So
Yeah.
they were good investments. Like investing in something like that you'll use every day pretty much. Then
Yeah.
yeah, I've no issue spending 1,000 euro or a few hundred quid. You know what I mean? But I again, I feel like yeah, if you're making any kind of money in music, you should definitely value it and look after, or any creative industry, because again, you're not guaranteed a wage every week. I mean,
Yeah.
some jobs you can do you could do the most half-assed job every week, and you're still going to get paid 500 quid without fail, unless you really fuck up. Whereas in my case, if I fuck up in the slightest or have an off day or I'm just being lazy, that unfortunately could cost me a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
So I do my best to constantly be engaged and look after things properly, to do
Totally.
things right. Because that's another thing is simple as like doing things properly. So many people just don't do things properly from a very
Yeah.
simple aspect. It's like instead of doing it the wrong way, why don't you do it the right way?
Yeah.
It sounds obnoxious. It sounds so brain dead, but I watch people I'm very like I analyze people quite a lot, and I watch them, and I'm like, it's just kind of like, how do you survive being like that? It's kind of like there's a very simple way of doing things, and it's kind of like people like they don't there's so much kind of like weaving in and out. It's like, there was such a simple way of doing such a thing like that. And again, that's a lot of the reason why I like working alone, because there's the right way and there's the wrong way, and I find a
Yeah.
lot of people just do things the wrong way. And it's almost as well too, like people don't like to be told, and I mean no one
Yeah.
likes to be told, but like, I'll find people will do things the wrong way almost out of spite. Like they'll make themselves look stupid just because you told them that this was the right way to do things. And I have
Yes.
experienced that in music as well. In my position, I guess, as a manager of a label, and kind of
Right.
on the head of most things I work in. You
Right.
know, I don't like to be like a bossy bully dickhead or whatever like that. But I find no matter what, with some people, no matter
Yeah.
what way you address them, they're going to take it like that. Kind of as an insult, to be told
Yeah.
what to do, or to be told
Yeah.
don't do that, or no, we're not doing that, or no, we're doing
Yeah.
this. And like it's always going to be like they're going to take it as an insult, pretty much.
Yeah. I know what
But
you mean.
again, as I said, I tend to scare people away with bad attitudes and bad personalities, because most people, they allow them to manifest, and they allow them to act like that, whereas I don't. I just Me and those kind of people don't click at all whatsoever. I have no time for bullshit, so I don't tend to have to deal with bullshitters quite often. Um, and I will stick my neck out straight away. And it's kind of like if you stick your neck out straight away when dealing with someone who's a bad influence per
Yeah.
se, they
Yeah.
usually get scared off very quickly because, again, as mentioned before, they want easy people who are easy to
Yeah.
manipulate and to take advantage of, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I'm blessed that I'm not like that. I've always been
Yeah.
assertive. I've always stuck my neck out because I'm not the biggest, toughest guy on the planet. And I was a kid once, and I was a teenager, and yeah, I'd often have people trying to have a go at me, but it wasn't my strength. It was my bullheadedness that got me by. Always like
Yeah.
I wasn't picked on or bullied as a kid, but I
Uh,
definitely had people who wanted to. I
right.
definitely was. The initial encounter as a kid might have been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm going to pick on you," and then straight away I'd rectify that situation very
Right.
quickly. But I was blessed with that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of kids or adults who are not like that at all, and they shut down and they allow themselves to be picked on and
Yeah.
stood on. Whereas my attitude is like, not me. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's good. It's good to filter people. People, if
yeah.
you give space, if you give them space, they will jump on you and destroy you. You
Oh
need
yeah, you give
to.
like a mile, and I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but I've always had a very good knack for copping on to what someone's like. There could be someone there, everyone could know them for years, and you're like, oh, he's sound, he's so nice, and I walk in the room and I'm like, nah, I can see straight through that person without fail, and like you know, I think a lot of people will take my word for it, but in some cases, it's like I'll say like that guy's a dickhead. I don't want to deal with him, and they're like, ah man, like no, he's sound, he's lovely. So give it 6 months. I was like, oh man, you won't guess what this guy did. It's like, yep, I saw it straight away when I walked in the room. Like I have a radar like that for bad people, um, and I'm very rarely wrong. And the thing is, as well, if I am wrong about
Oh,
someone, I'll admit it and be like, I won't hold on to that because I've experienced it myself where someone might have met me and got the wrong idea
right.
and find myself noticing that. So I try to be nicer to them and try to,
Right.
you know, give them the right idea. But their ego will make them cling. It's like, no, I don't like you, and I'm not going to allow you to change my mind, sort of thing. And it's like
Totally.
that's fine. Um, and it is quite insane to kind of see people who they're not used to being called out for their behavior. And I have many, many times almost been treated as the aggressor simply because I'm willing to call someone out for their behavior, whether it's in the music industry or in daily life, you know? And it's like, oh, what's his problem like? It's like you did this wrong thing and I'm just pointed it out to you, that's not good, sort of thing. And then you're almost people kind of, you know, I guess I always try to push the right agenda and keep things fair and relatively respectable.
Yeah.
And even trying to do that, which I think is a good thing all the time, people get tired of it. Definitely. I've definitely had people kind of go like, no, let us just, let it slide this one time. It's like, nah, because you let it slide once and then you let it slide again and it just manifests and gets worse and worse and worse. So again, this, you can apply a lot of this wisdom to everyday life, but I feel like for me, I'm just a no bullshit person, and that's just the way I am, really. And it's definitely boded well for me, and I think it would bode well for most people in the music industry, especially to be like that, because unfortunately, especially in creative scene and especially in music, I'm sure it might be similar in the film industry. It's rampant. It's rampant of people that will try to take advantage of you. They'll try to steal from you. They'll badmouth you. This, that,
Yeah.
and the other. I've had it all happen to me at some point in some shape or form, and it's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and they've ended up leaving, the music industry or leaving some creative industry that they were involved with because they noticed what it was like. And it's
Totally.
like, unfortunately, most people are gonna have to deal with that. So like, you really have to stick your neck out there. I'm not telling people to go out there with a baseball bat and start fucking hitting people, like, but just don't let yourself be taken advantage of. And look, fair enough, in some cases, it's unavoidable, so maybe get someone there who can help you or stick their neck out for you. I've had to do it multiple times for a lot of people who just weren't, they weren't assertive enough, and just naturally they're going to be taken advantage of. Like, so it's like, all right, yeah, you get me a point there, and I'll look after this for you. No worries, and I'll come back and I'll get whatever they needed to get. Um, a little bit of intimidation goes a long way sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Nice. Man, we are nearly finishing here. Is there something specific would you like to share about things you're working at the moment?
um,
Gigs, events. But
yeah,
anyways,
well,
you can send me things later that I will put on description. But for
cool.
now, you can say.
I will say that myself, I'll be releasing my own project in September. I always release something on my birthday. So I'll
All
definitely
right.
have an EP or maybe a short album, depending on how many songs I pick for it. And that'll definitely be out September 17th, which will be my 28th birthday. Getting very old now. Um, in terms of releases for the label as well, Banshee, rapper from Galway, she will definitely have a project out soon. I think her project's probably gonna be next. Um, Dames Doherty and Bukari and Dan, who are also on the label, are have a joint EP that'll be coming out at some point. Other than that, I think that's everything release wise. Gigs,
Okay.
as I said, June
For
29th,
now.
Skate Fest in the
Okay.
O55, July 13th in Cuba, bands, July 20th, rappers, Cuba, July 26th, bands O55 as well. Actually, July 6th will be
Okay.
the first battle of the bands between Melon and the Housemates and Asphyxia over in Crows. So hopefully that goes well. And if it does go well, it'll become a series, I guess, and we'll do more. Uh,
Awesome.
I'm also playing, as I said, in Glasgow in August. I don't expect everyone to travel for that, but if you're
Right.
interested, let me know and
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
come over
Cool.
with me.
Cool.
Other than that, that's pretty much everything for now.
A
Again,
lot of things going on. A lot of things
bad
going on.
yeah, yeah. I have to keep busy, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise I just go insane, you know.
Totally.
I was a very antisocial teenager, so it's good
Yeah.
to have something quite positive in my life now. But Bad Arts Entertainment is the name of the label. We've got a YouTube channel. There's loads of music there from day one to now. Music videos and stuff like that. I appreciate you checking it out. If you're
Mhm.
a rapper or a singer, you're potentially looking for beats, give me a shout. I can definitely hook you up. I also provide recording services, mixing and mastering services in my home if anyone's interested. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much everything. And obviously, buy my CDs, buy my music, give me lots of money
Cool.
and all that
Cool.
stuff.
Yeah. Let's support, man. I like to support. Like, I don't see the point of go to 55 and stay behind that area and taking advantage
Yeah.
to be listening to them because you don't want to pay €6 to support music, and then that person goes online and say, oh, the artists are not being supported by the government, when
Oh
you're
yeah.
not supporting yourself, you're
Yeah.
not supporting people near you, you know.
And what's worse is making a statement out of it too. Like, as I said, anyone who's done that, they've stood there and they've kind of looked at me with a big smirk on their face. I'm like, what's your problem? Like, and there's a thing as well, like, you know, it's again mainly older generations too, where it's like they think that every artist is a bum on the dole. You know, like the amount of people, boomers as you call them, who say like, "Oh, I pay your wages," and I'm like, "No, you don't." I said, "I'm not on the dole." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And if I have to be, it's because the likes of ye feel entitled that you know music should just be provided for you and you shouldn't have to pay for it, which is crazy. Like, it's like, do people go to Metallica concerts and stand outside and go, "Do I really have to pay in? Do I?" Like, you know, no, they wouldn't do that. You know, you wouldn't do it when they're rich and famous, and your mobile phone tells you that they're cool and you should listen to them. You know, you won't be disrespectful to them. That's the thing I find weird. It's like you
yeah,
wouldn't dare be so rude and obnoxious to a famous person, even if you don't even listen to their music or don't like them. People will
yeah.
just be like, "Oh, can I touch your hands?"
Oh
Whereas
yeah,
they're asking for a basic bit of respect off some people as a small artist is just like, how dare you? You know, you're just like one of us. You can't be. You obviously think you're God's gift because you got up on stage and performed. It's like it's not like that. Obviously, there's exceptions, but like most
sure,
performers and artists aren't like that. You know, we're
sure.
very fucking happy to be doing what we're doing, but unfortunately, if we're providing entertainment, we want to be paid. So
Okay.
I'd like to think that I dropped a little bit of basic knowledge for some people to actually tune into, and actually acknowledge and take on board as an artist. Like, I may not be a millionaire and I may not be a hugely successful person, but I've a good bit of experience for some of my age, and I know the ins
For
and
sure.
outs of a lot of the business in the industry. So I'd like to think that people will take that on board in between all the complaining and fucking shit talk that I've been spouting for the last hour.
No, 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 man. I think you're doing, you're building your path the way you're acting. So when you get to 30s, probably you're gonna be in a situation where you get more things under control.
I'd hope so, because if not, then I'm just going to move off to Alaska and live in the woods, to be honest. That's the
You
plan.
know, into the wild.
But yeah, move away from Babylon, you know.
Yeah. I always think about that. I work in IT, and then I sometimes I ask myself what I'm doing here. I should be in the
Yeah.
beach selling my arts.
Yeah, no, every time I'm talking to someone on Instagram for 3 hours a day about this, that, and the other, I'm like, "Oh god," just I should be elsewhere, I should be in the woods, I should be hunting elk, and I should be growing my own food as opposed to, eating gala processed shite and texting on my phone all day, I was like, that's one thing as well people don't get is like, I don't use like I don't, like casual texting. Like I don't do that or enjoy that because I have to constantly be in contact with people all the time. So
Right, right.
forgive me if people, because I know people have asked me, they think I'm being rude. Like I
Yeah,
don't want, like we'll talk in person or give me a call, but I
yeah,
hate having to fucking just have casual conversations on my
yeah,
phone because it's just like i- in between all that, there's just so much forced phone time, I guess, So I
yeah,
like to get away from it. And a lot of people don't seem to realize like I'm not ignoring you. It's just
yeah,
sometimes I actually put my phone other side of the room and don't look at it. Do you know? It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's like we're not obligated to have our phones on all the time, and it's kind of a new age thing that
yeah. That's
we're
true.
constantly available to be contacted.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and for me, it's kind of like you know un- unless it's necessary and it's needed, like
yeah.
it's
For
like
sure.
getting like, hey, what time are you going to be there, or hey, do you need a guitar, or what time is sound check? Then
Yeah,
it's not necessarily it's not necessary to respond straight away.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Totally.
that's one last bit of knowledge for everyone there. Don't be
Very
annoying
good.
everyone just because they don't want to text all day and send memes. Because I've got a
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah. It's okay, guys, to not touch your phone for a few hours. Don't.
Oh, it's
It's
gonna
not
be huge.
part of our body, right?
Not yet.
Not
We
yet.
will, guys.
Nice. Man, thanks so much for your time here. I really enjoyed. Maybe we can do some time next with Bip as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks for your time again. And yeah, that's it. I will once I know when I will publish this video, I let you know. I do all the if you have a
Cool, yeah.
picture of
Pass on any
yourself.
promo stuff as well.
Yeah, cool. If you have a picture like to do the thumb on YouTube, send me
I'll send you
your
one.
the
Yeah.
one you want. Yeah, take your time, no rush. What else? Yeah, that's it, man. If you have some more links to share, and then I will
Cool.
you can send to me. I will add on description.
That's no
I
problem. Yeah.
will, yeah, and yeah, I will finish it up. I will finish by playing the song, and
Cool.
if you can keep online, I will get back to you once I close here. Just stay online, okay?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And all right, people, if you want to know more, subscribe, send this to your friends, and let's share that. It's important because we went through some important things that people needs to know,
Yeah.
especially in Ireland.
Yeah. I, Irish people got a bollocking on this podcast.
Yeah, I will.
Pull up your socks, guys.
There will be some shorts, some cool ones.
Oh,
Nice.
definitely. Yeah. I love the
Take
sound of my
care.
own voice, anyways.
I don't even watch myself again. I don't like to hear my voice, and I'm
I don't
sure
mind as
a
well.
lot of English mistakes as well. But
No. I mean, I'm a rapper, so I have to like the sound of my own voice, because it's
yeah,
like it's your instrument. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
if
totally.
you don't like the sound of your own voice, it's not going to work,
So
unfortunately.
do you sing as well on your songs? Do
No,
you
I
do
don't
some
sing.
samples or something?
I've
Okay,
got no singing voice at all.
nice,
Just
nice.
hardcore, raspy,
Yeah,
manly lyrics.
yeah. I will listen to some of her stuff as well.
Yeah, cool. Definitely, I'll share it over.
Cool. All right, man. Take care.
No problem. I'll see you soon.
See you, man. Thanks. Hey, hi, bye.
Bye.